The off-season in soccer usually lasts between 4 to 6 weeks, which is often characterised by a decrease in training load, training cessation, or a transition to individualised exercises. The off-season period can lead to detraining and have possible detrimental effects on body composition and performance. Therefore, the use of an off-season training programme is intended to help mitigate losses in athletic performance and to control negative changes in body composition. With this in mind, a systematic review and meta-analysis published in the journal Sport Medicine, titled Detrimental Effects of the Off-Season in Soccer Players by Filipe and colleagues, analysed 12 studies with the aim to assess the effects of detraining on male soccer players in terms of body composition, VO2 max, yo-yo intermittent recovery test performance, vertical jump height, sprinting time, and repeated sprintability when exposed to training cessation or an off-season training programme. This presentation, brought to you by Talking Sports Science, will be a summary of their findings and recommendations. First of all, body composition. Changes in body composition, i.e. decreased lean mass and increased body fat percentage, should be expected among soccer players after the off-season. Out of the 12 studies reviewed, all of them reported increases in body fat following the off-season. Therefore, regardless of an off-season training programme, increases in body fat during this time are likely due to lifestyle changes, for example, nutritional behaviours and physical activity. Moving on to maximal oxygen uptake. Running at 50 to 60% of VO2 max for 20 to 30 minutes 3 times a week during the off-season does attenuate the detrimental effects in cardiorespiratory capacity. However, the volume and intensity of this training undertaken is not sufficient to prevent significant decreases in VO2 max during the off-season. Moving on to yo-yo intermittent recovery test performance. This test examines an athlete's capacity to perform repetitive high-intensity aerobic exercise. Players begin the test from cone B, and when instructed by the audio player, they must run towards cone C, which must be reached before the following beep signal, and then immediately return to cone B before the next signal. Once cone B is reached, players have a 10-second recovery period in which they must jog from cone B towards cone A, and then back again to cone B before the start of the next shuttle. Players are only allowed 2 consecutive fail attempts before they are withdrawn from the test. For example, if a player fails to reach cone C and back to cone B in the allocated time, 1 fail is issued. If this happens a second consecutive time, then they are eliminated from the test. It was found that off-season training did not attenuate the detrimental effects of detraining on the ability to repeatedly perform high-intensity running, as determined by the yo-yo intermittent recovery test. Maintaining the ability to repeatedly perform high-intensity running in soccer players may reduce their injury risk when returning for pre-season, where they are exposed to high volumes of load. Therefore, performing short or long intervals, at least 3 times a week, is recommended during the off-season to induce high-intensity running intensities. Furthermore, approaches such as microdoses may also mitigate against drops in performance, while also allowing players to recover from the previous season. When it comes to vertical jump height measured using a counter-movement jump, off-season training programs consisting of moderate, continuous running or a combination of running-based exercises and moderate intensity resistance training are not effective to attenuate the detrimental effects of detraining. Therefore, it's recommended that training programs during the off-season include maximal strength, power and plyometric training to reduce the detrimental effect of detraining on lower body power. And for sprinting time, again, performing an off-season training program did not prevent the detrimental effects of detraining on sprint performance. Therefore, to maintain sprint performance, it's recommended that an off-season training program involves sprinting at specific distances, sprinting above 90% maximal velocity, and includes strength and power workouts. Regarding repeated sprintability, off-season training programs can attenuate the detrimental effects of detraining. Therefore, repeated sprint training and high-intensity interval training during detraining periods may be beneficial not only to reduce the negative effects regarding repeated sprintability, but to also maintain the capacities that sustain repeated sprintability, i.e. oxidative capacity. And that concludes the findings and general recommendations. Overall, off-season training programs offer some value in alleviating the detrimental effects on some physical performance qualities, for example, VO2 max and repeated sprintability, but not others, i.e. body composition, yo-yo intermittent recovery test performance, vertical jump height and sprint time. However, it should be noted, due to the heterogeneity and design of the studies included within the analysis, specific recommendations for off-season training programs can't be put forward. Nevertheless, the results do call for the implementation of more effective off-season training programs for male soccer players. I recommend you check out Table 2 in the Filipe and colleagues meta-analysis for a detailed breakdown of what type of training was actually performed during the off-season in each of the 12 studies included within their review. And that concludes this presentation. Thanks for listening, folks. See you next time.